Fellowship. I think that's about it. I can't think of anything else. There's probably
Hey,
one more. Yes,
since we
Carl.
have if we have a little extra time, we can pick up where we left off as far as the
The
timeline.
celestial clock.
Yeah, if you want, if you think
Yeah,
we
if you don't mind, could you give us like a summary recap why we're doing this, the purpose of it all, and some of the basics because this is a very complex uh, thing
yeah,
to
yeah, it's a pretty involved, yeah, because it's
yeah.
getting down to the finer details of the timeline. And it's not just the years. Now you're kind of getting into like how days were calculated to some degree.
Right.
But
And very quickly, folks who are listening to E-Bible Fellowship, obviously the things that we are discussing are very advanced, biblical topics. There might be some new sheep or new believers watching this. It is for the intent that, we are sharing truths about the Bible with mounting biblical evidence pointing to 2033 as the likely year for the rapture. It would make sense that we would all be Bereans and look into these matters in relation to the timeline of history. So you might be hearing things that are, highly technical and having to do with numbers and elements like this. This is when God helps His elect go on to perfection, and these are the more, I would say, more challenging parts of doctrine.
so there's actually, well, first I'll just share this new tool that people can use. Eventually, I'm going to get it up on the website. Um, but this is something that's kind of handy because you can calculate how many days between two different dates. So, for example, if you put in May 21 of 1988, and let's say we go to May 21 of 2011,
Mm-hmm.
it'll calculate exactly how many days, and that's 8,400 days.
Excellent.
hmm And then if we wanted to do, all right, how many days from May 21, 1988 to September 7th of 1994, we get exactly 2,300 days, and that would that's the 2,300 evening mornings that Mr. Camping talked about from when judgment began on the churches all the way till when the latter rain began 6 years later. And so this is a handy tool. And then this one is let's say you just want to go forward from a certain date, a certain amount of days. So if we type in May 21, 2011, these are just examples. You can put in whatever date you want. Let's say we wanted to go exactly 8,000 days forward. That'll tell us exactly what day that lands on. Friday, April 15th of 2033. You can also switch it so it goes backwards in time and you would land in 1989. So different options there.
Incidentally, April 15th of 2033, if that's within the between the evenings between April 14 and 15, there's going to be a lunar eclipse. I think it's one of those specific lunar eclipses. It's very rare. It's like a lunar eclipse that is like a triple lunar eclipse. I think it's called a blood lunar eclipse. Very interesting.
So this is another one you can do. This was the famous 722,500. So if you go exactly from March 31st of 33 AD, that's when Jesus was in the garden, exactly 722,500 days, you land exactly on Saturday, May 21, 2011.
Hmm.
So this is a pretty handy tool. You can go backwards and see where it lands. I thought this was kind of interesting. It lands this would have been a year after Jacob I think went to go work for his uncle Laban. Not that this means anything biblically, but that's where it lands. Uh 1946. Yeah, he's 61. So this is when his first child. No, that's the first year of working for Laban out of the 7 years. So it doesn't mean anything. I don't think it shows you can go forward or backwards with these dates. And
Hmm.
then finally, this one is I thought of this and I just thought it'd be such a handy tool to have. But you can let's just say we start with May 21 of 1988.
Hmm.
And you can put in a number up here. So if we go 8,400 days later, we'll arrive at May 21. Now, I wanted to see if I kept going backwards in increments of 8,400 days. So this tool allows you to basically increment a number of days, and you
Like in
can,
multiples? Like in
yeah,
multiples?
yeah. So let's say I wanted to go 8,400 times 2 days backwards. So if I change this number here, now that's 6,800 days, and then I can keep doing that, and it just keeps going back in time, just like that.
Wow.
Yeah, so it just allows you to see, okay, how many repetitions of 8,400 days. Now, one I thought was pretty neat was if you start with April 15th of 2033, and you go back 40 days, and you keep going back, that's one time. If you go back 200 times, you'll land, of course, on May 21st, 2011, because there's
Wow.
200 sets of 40-day
What?
increments. Yeah, that was known. Yeah, I don't think that's new information, but but that's just starting. It's exactly 8,000 days, which breaks down to 200 times 40.
Wow.
But if you go 410 times, you land on May 21, 1988, which means from May 21, because I broke down the number 8,400,
Mhm.
it actually breaks down into sets of 40. See, it's 210 times. You also have 8,000 days is also 200 sets. So both tribulations can be actually broken down into 40-day segments. And so 410 times you get to May 21, 1988, when judgment began on the churches. But I just thought it was interesting because if you keep going backwards, I think
I have a question, Carl.
yeah.
Now that we're getting all these day, month, and year time frames, wouldn't we have a range of time, a specific window of what the first day of creation could be? Not that we would have the exact date, but wouldn't it give us a range of within like 20 days or 30 days what the possible first date of creation could be? Since we have day, month, year, hard dates at certain increments, or is that not likely?
I know there's some people in the past who have tried to figure it out, but
Hmm.
that's something that we're actually looking into to see if we can figure it out.
Right, but wouldn't it just be that there would be a range of time within a 20 day, 30?
Yeah, I mean, well, we know the year of creation is 11,013 BC. So,
Right. So that's at least 365, right?
yeah, so we have a 365-day window, you know.
But shouldn't that
So
window continue to close if you have a day, month, year for May 21, 2011, a day, month, year for Passover in
it'll
1407?
only narrow down if you find more clues, if God gives us that information. So it's 365 days is still a lot of days to narrow down, but it's something that we've been looking into. So, but
Okay.
yeah, this is an update on the calendar page, just to highlight the color. It stands out a lot more with these colors because you can see the dates more. But for 2011, you can see Passover was on 17th/18th. So this just really serves to kind of highlight these dates, and then ER 17 falls on the 21st. So you can go to any year, and that will just keep recalculating what the calendars were using the same exact math that we use with the this tool. And
Let's try it. What was Passover in 609 BC?
all right, so that would have been just King Josiah's last year. Yep. So if we use this tool,
Change it from 80 to BC, right? Don't you have to
yeah,
change
that's right. Yeah, good catch.
it?
That was a test. No, no. That was a good catch. This is April 28th, 29th, and we can confirm that with this tool. It's 609. Yep, April 28th/29th. So it's using the same exact math. It's calculating Passover, and then it's also displaying it on this calendar page. So yeah, it would have been April 28th, 29th for Passover, actually the year of the Great Tribulation, the 70-year tribulation began.
And what about 587 BC? I believe that's the year, right? 587.
587 would have been the midpoint. Yeah,
What would be Passover for 587 BC?
that would have been March 30/31.
Ooh, that's interesting because isn't Christ crucified?
It's one more day over. So it would have been March 31st. Christ hung. Well, we'll go to that year. So if we go to 33 AD, it would have been March 31st.
To
He
the
was in the
cross.
Garden of Gethsemane Thursday. Friday, he hung on the cross.
Hmm.
So, but
They're
to
touching,
me,
but not touching. Got it.
yeah, and the significance of these tools is that because we have this anchor date of Passover for any year, we're basically it allows us to map out the rest of the year. So because we know Christ died on Friday, April 1st, well, that means we can just backtrack each of these days. So that would correspond with Nisan 14 because that's Passover. So that means that Nisan 13 would have been March 31st, Nisan 12, March 30th.
But I'm a little confused, Carl. Why did we have those remaining 9 days where you said you can either go 10 days forward or 10 days backwards when we are coming up with these calculation dates? Because we have a day calendar and we have a moon calendar. We have a solar calendar and we have a lunar calendar that we need to compare, right?
Right. So in the case of 609 BC, the shift was 28 days forward. And it's because I think it involves with having to go with the former month or the if, like for example, if we were to go backwards 28 days from March 31st, we would land on March 3rd. And that would have been Passover of the previous. You're getting into the previous month. So the reason why you're going backwards or forwards is if you have to figure out if it's touching upon the previous year's Passover, you know?
That's one thing that I think we may need to work on together to
Yeah.
do why. And I think Jeffrey said having some kind of image that either shows two widgets with the alignments and the offset, which could be a certain amount of days. Once we figure that out, I think it'll just like really
Yeah.
stand.
I think about it this way. Um, every year Passover is changing, right?
Yes.
The former
Like
year
my
Passover.
birthday. Like every couple years, my birthday is on a Monday or something like that, right?
Yeah. Well,
Is that?
Passover in 610 was April 17th, which is
Hmm.
interesting because that year, that was one of, so April 17th. But then the next year it's April 28th. So if we were to go back, going basically March 3rd wouldn't work because the spring equinox is tied every year to March 21st. So that's 22nd. So Passover, the first Passover was on the spring equinox, which means that Passover can't occur prior to that.
Now, this is a dumb question, but does the relation to the offset have anything to do with the Earth's rotation around the sun, or does that have nothing to do with that?
Let me see, because
It's
that's kind
traveling.
of a more technical question, but I think if we ask, okay, because it knows the CC tool that we have. Why do we shift forward or backwards? Let's see. So it says it gives you the lunar phase position. So the anchor at March 31st, April 1st, Passover, multiply the difference, divide. This gives you where the moon cycle lands relative to the anchor. But here's the key.
Could you ask the question? Does the lunar does the lunar phase have anything to do with the Earth's position or
Oh, I see. It says
around the sun?
it's simply telling you how far into the lunar cycle we are near March 31st of the target year. So it's checking to see how far into that lunar cycle because the lunar cycle is every 29 point, the average lunar month would be. So the target is always March 31st of each year, but then the shift takes place from that date. And so that the difference of the,
When you say target, what is the target?
well, think about this. Okay, today is February 15th. What's
Yes.
exactly 1 year from today? What do you land on? You land on February 15th of 2027, right?
Yes.
So you're going from February 15th to February 15th.
Uh huh.
Right. It's the same thing with what we're doing with the cross. Christ died. Christ was in the garden March 31st. That begun Nisan, Passover. And so when we go back to any year, we're going to land on March 31st because we're going exactly that many years prior. Right. So that's why I'm always referring to March 31st because that's the anchor date. So
I,
if I want to,
I'm almost there with you. My brain is neat.
okay, so we'll keep it simple. So we're at the cross. It's
Uh huh.
March 30. we're in the garden. It's March 31st of 33 AD, right? We're in the garden, and we want to go 1 year before that event. So which date would we land on? If we're in 33 AD and it's March 31st. Christ is in the Garden of Gethsemane. You go 1 year prior, what date would that fall on?
March 31st, 32 AD?
Yeah, yes. And the year before would be 31, March
Uh-huh.
31st, 31. The year before that, March 31st, 30. That's all we're doing until you get to the Exodus, which is in 1447. And so we're going back exactly Gregorianly speaking,
Gregoria.
right? Yeah. We're going exactly backwards, so it's an exact amount of time, right?
So if you don't mind, dear brother, since we only have about a minute or two left, maybe
Yeah.
we can come up with some kind of statement to kind of explain this. I don't know about the audience here, but I think if I'm able to get that, this is going to just cascade all of this knowledge where I'm
Well, okay,
actually going to
so
understand
so
the
from the
why.
cross, I mean from the garden, that was March 31st of 33 AD. It's calculated we go back exactly 1,479 years earlier. There's no year zero, so that's why it's not exactly 1480.
Hmm.
So 1479. So if you're going to go back exactly 1,479 years earlier, it's going to have to fall on the same date, March 31st,
Hmm.
which is why any year we go to, the starting point is always March 31st of 33 AD. So whether you're going back 1 year to 32 AD, or 2 years to 31 AD, or 10 years or 50 or 1,000, it's always going to land on March 31st because you're going exactly back in time that many amount of years,
Hmm.
right? If it's March 31st of the Exodus account, and then it's March 31st of when Christ was in the garden, you can say to the day it's 1,479 years later to the day, right? So that's why whatever year we go to, it lands on March 31st. And then from there, once we have that established, then we make a shift depending on the lunar cycle. And that's what this number is. Now,
Right.
this is like a more technical aspect of it. You don't really have to,
I really want to learn it though.
yeah,
Lord
how
willing,
the nuts and bolts work,
I don't want to
right?
hijack the program, but I would love to hear comments from the audience if the Lord allows it, because maybe I'm the only one concerned about this, and everyone else is like, "Oh, I get it. I'm just the slow one in the classroom."
Yeah. I mean, probably the easiest way to explain it was like I said, if you're going to go exactly a year from today, you're going to start with the date of February 15th, and you're going to go 1 year later to February 15th of
Right.
2027.
If you
That's
don't
all.
mind, let's work
Yeah.
on this to see if we can come up with some kind of image, graph, or simulation that puts the why behind this, which I think would underpin our understanding of aligning these two calendars where this offset date.
Now, is that part probably what's confusing is this part where there's a shift taking place.
Right, because like you said, March 31st, 33 AD to March 31st, 32 AD, would that offset be 10
So,
days, 9 days, or would it just be 1 day?
well,
Because,
we'll try it here. So in 33 AD, that's our starting point. So if we go to 1 year prior, it lands on April 11th. There is 11-day shift in that case. So it doesn't matter that we're only going back 1 year. It depends on where the moon is, I guess, in its cycle relative to the sun. So if you go back to 31 AD, it's actually a 22-year shift. If you go
right.
back to 30 AD, there's a 3 year shift. So you can see it really varies each year.
It's like, for example, you ever played Battleship where you have two submarines trying to hit each other? You need a gyroscope and you need someone to do the math to calculate the trajectory, the wind, and all these other things so the missile can hit the other target, right? Would that be a correct statement? Something like
Yeah,
that?
well, I think there's a visual of the moon here that the AI had put down,
Uh
and you
huh.
can see every day we shift. I think the thing behind it is the sun, or maybe that's the crescent moon. Maybe that's the phase of the moon, actually.
Right.
I think depending on, and remember, it's not a full, it's only Passover only falls between April and March,
Right.
right?
So there's a
March,
limited
April.
range of the moon phase that you'll get every time.
Right. It's anchored. It's anchored to springtime.
I
It's
will have to
anchored.
hear thee again on this matter.
Yeah. But more importantly, it's we don't always understand the exact like the nuts and bolts behind how
Okay.
watch
So
works.
so
So
I shouldn't get too deep into this is
no, I
what
mean you can. I shouldn't say you should and you shouldn't, but ultimately it just it'll just come down to what can we learn, of course, spiritually,
right.
ultimately, and how what God has hidden. You know, a lot of people didn't understand how Mr. Campion had arrived at certain dates, and now it's kind of coming more to light. You know, as far
Yeah.
as like this is how he calculated the 722,500. So this is this is
Yeah.
how it was
Yeah.
calculated. You can even see part of the calculation right here. It's almost there, but that's just taking him to Passover. You got to go another 33 days, I think, to get 34 days to get to May 21.
Right.
But that's how he was able to discover the exact amount of days, was using this math. So,
Right.
and we know it's biblical because that number broke down. We actually have this other prime calculator, which is nice. It breaks down to 5 times 10 times 17 twice.
Right.
So it's also 850 times 850, which that's interesting because that's you recall the number 850 is used in the account with Elijah. Remember how he called down fire to see who was God?
Yeah,
You
isn't
have
that 17 times 5? 885, 17 times.
yeah, but 850 is 5 times 10 times 17,
Hmm.
and it's doubled there. And it's interesting because in that account, they were testing to see who is God, right?
Hmm.
We'll see if Baal is God, worship him. You know, remember he said, how long do you halt between two opinions?
Hmm.
Well, there was 450 prophets of the Grove and another 400 prophets. That equals 850.
Ah,
So perhaps I'm not saying this is the case, but perhaps God could be indicating that May 21 was a test to see who really is God. You
right.
know, because it's Judgment Day. You know, God's casting down idols, right?
I can
So
see I can see folks who don't agree with this teaching. They're like, "Man, I don't have time to look at all this."
yeah.
I could just see that the people who don't agree, they're not going to be spending time to, this is a lot, and I thank God for it.
Well, God teaches things through numbers. That's the
Exactly.
thing. Numbers are words in the Bible, and they have spiritual meaning.
Right.
17 ties in with the latter rain.
Right.
Five with atonement or judgment.
Right. So
So
someone who is spiritually slothful, they would not want to look into these things because it would be, off-putting to them. Thank you
mhm.
very much, Carl. I look forward to doing this again with you, and I would like to see if we can kind of understand the reason why we do get that offset just a little bit more. I think we're getting a little
Yeah,
more.
just to get the math behind it. See,
Exactly.
there is some sort of math involved with it, and I don't
I
fully
think if we
understand it.
can, yeah, I think if we all just continue to persevere together, we can all grow because I do like the fact that we're talking about dates and we are getting into these matters. I think it's super important.
Yeah. All
All
right.
right.
Well, yeah, God willing, these tools will be available soon up on the website. I will announce one last thing.